So, hi everyone. Welcome to the Keptn developer meeting. Today is May 5th. So, just in case, May the 4th be with you. And I hope everything is going fine. So, for the today's agenda, we have some changes because not everyone can join due to the connectivity issues. But yeah, regardless, we will just go as we go. And for the rest, we can use the community meeting next week. Okay. So what do we have on our agenda?
Hello, bye.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry?
Okay, so what do we have on our agenda? We have a few presentations today, and I guess that's it. If you would like to add other topics, we can do that. But yeah, maybe I can hand over to Christian and mute myself as soon as possible. So, Christian, I guess the floor is yours.
Thank you. And it is never too early to start with open source. So,
yeah, well, he already did a few contributions, including Twitter posts. Well, yes.
perfect.
Okay.
Okay, I have two things on my agenda. First of all, a quick announcement. So, yesterday, the team has released Job Executor Service version 0.2.0. Here's a link to the release page as well. Please go through the release notes if you're interested. We did a lot of security hardening, and therefore we have some breaking changes in case you were using the enable Kubernetes API access flag before. So use cases like Helm deployment or kubectl access within Job Executor Service are now a little bit different. There is now also a dedicated service account field which you can use to define a service account for accessing certain namespaces, accessing pods, deployments, whatever you need. So we're a lot more customizable, but we're also a lot stricter with security here with that release. If you have any questions, there is the help integrations channel on the Keptn Slack. Please come here. I and some members of our team are watching that channel, and we're happy to help you. And the second one is more of a discussion item. It is about should we or can we move integration issues that we have in the Keptn repository to a dedicated repository. So we do now have, like, in the Keptn repository, a lot of GitHub issues that are marked with integrations. Those are ideas, sometimes they're requests coming from different people. And yeah, I mean, it's like 26 issues that are nice to have, but that are polluting the Keptn issue tracker a little bit. And yeah, as a cleanup, I would suggest that we move them into a different repository like Keptn/integrations or even Keptn contrib/integrations. Or if you have any other idea, please speak up now.
Yeah, so what I would propose to do in this case, I agree with you that it might be difficult for triage. At the same time, we don't have other location right now. What we could do is probably creating a new repository proxy for Keptn contrib and Keptn sandbox, because our main issue that we cannot connect issues located in other GitHub organizations. Neither connect to the roadmap, nor connect to the rest of the system. GitHub is still pretty bad about it. But if you have another repository and if you have just one pinned issue for integrations, so if you wonder about integrations, please go to this repository. I can also add metadata to new issue screen so that when you open it, if you want to talk about integration, it can send you over to another repository, and maybe it will provide good enough experience.
Okay, so another repo is fine. I'm happy if putting it into the Keptn organization because that's like the head organization anyway. Just Keptn contrib and sandbox in the end should be, I would say, more source code focused. The Keptn organization also contains the community, contains docs, etc. So I think there is a good place. And then at least you should also be able to connect it with your roadmap, because I think the roadmap is in the Keptn organization as well.
Yeah. So there are some quirks allowing to connect multiple orgs, but yeah, I would rather just keep it in one place for now. And yeah, I can do that if everyone agrees.
Beep, beep.
Your son agrees. Okay.
My son has a post bus.
Okay. I will see. I will contact you offline and afterwards for the repository and for moving the issues.
Yeah, well, I can actually do it synchronously, but I will ping you once I do that so that you can confirm that it works for you.
Perfect. Thanks. That's it from my side then.
Yeah, and we still have a similar issue for proposals. So basically, what was brought up by Adam before, because we also have plenty of proposals everywhere. And yeah, it's also a good question whether we.
I guess that was the wrong button.
That was quick.
Let's continue in the agenda. Right.
Yeah. Is Suraj here? I think he mentioned in the captain Slack that he will not be able to join, but he mentioned that he has like the pull request. I think that's also what it says on the agenda here in the document, that he still needs somebody to review his pull request, please. So that's what it says here.
Yeah, that's about the Datadog integration, I think.
Yeah. So I think then next one would be Moritz.
Yes.
Welcome back, Oleg. We just continued with Suraj and we're now up to Moritz.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I just got first baby bombing ever. But yeah,
Connectivity issues.
it's not a connectivity. But yeah. Okay, so I will create a similar POC for both integrations and enhancement proposals, with the assumption that we want to keep Keptn core just for Keptn core. Unfortunately, it's an issue which many other projects hit once they have a wider ecosystem. They have a main repository polluted by everything. Well, polluted in good things, but we still want to improve the experience. Okay. So yeah, I will handle it probably today for the lunch.
Cool. Okay, then I will continue with my changes. Okay, I have two changes to present today. The first one is about our help charts. I'm kind of in the process of refactoring them. This is just the first step. There's actually a few PRs following this in the next sprints probably. So this first one is to create a common chart for duplicated helper functions that we have in all three charts that we maintain right now. So the main Keptn installer and also Helm service and JMeter service. There's lots of helper functions that are just duplicated. And for that, basically, I created a common chart next to the Keptn installer. So yeah, this is of type library, of course. And it really only has helper functions that we can use in all the different charts. So this PR is actually just introducing the chart, and then there's going to be a follow-up PR which actually makes use of it to make it easier to review after the fact. So yeah, that's the first one. And then I have one more. I made a small fix for the configuration service, actually for the installer of the configuration service. We had a regression there where we updated the update strategy, the Kubernetes update strategy, to rolling update for the config service, even though that's actually not supported by it because it has a volume which is read write once. So you can't really create a second pod of the config service because it can't attach the volume at the same time. So I just changed that back to recreate strategy, and everything should work as expected with that now. Yeah, and then the resource service that's going to be fully released in the future. is still on update strategy, rolling update, since it works there. So yeah, that's already it from me. So I'm gonna hand over to Flo if that works now.
Let's try. All right, gonna share my screen and myself again. If I have to answer them after I'm finished. Okay, let's have a look. So yeah, 3 items for today. For the first one, I'm not gonna go into too much details. Basically, some adjustment needed for the integration tests to make them run again, due to the change to the upgrade strategies that Moritz also briefly talked about. Certain things like restarting, etc., take now a little bit longer. And there we had basically some timeout issues in some of the tests. And this has been mostly fixed now, but we need to keep an eye on that. Then let's start with the first more interesting issue. So this is about the Shipyard Controller. So when we have a sequence being executed, the way the data is being propagated within the sequence or within the task triggered events is that basically from each of the finished events, we propagate their data to the next task triggered event. So the task triggered events grow across the sequence. And then also, if it's a multi-stage sequence, the data from previous stages is also propagated into the next stage. And due to the new model and logic for the Shipyard Controller, there were some slight changes in the merchant logic, which messed up some of the use case, like for example the delivery use case, because the order of URIs that were reported back by the Helm service was different. So yeah, thankfully Christian has detected those, and now the merge logic has been adapted to it has been before. But yeah, maybe in the future we should maybe also consider reworking this whole concept, because right now, for example, not clear which data. So for example, in the deployment URI, since that's only an array that's filled across the stages of a delivery sequence, for example, it's not exactly clear which data comes from which stage, for example. So hopefully in the future we can maybe rethink this, maybe come up with something better to kind of have a clearer separation of where the data in the finished events and then in the triggered events comes from. Yeah, so this fix is part of the recently released 0.14.2 hotfix release, and will of course also be included in 0.15. Next one, yes, also about the Shipyard Controller. Give you a little bit more background about that. Is in some or a couple of versions ago, we introduced the only use the MongoDB that is deployed per default together with Keptn core, but also provide a connection string to any external MongoDB that you might want to connect to. And one of those will also be Amazon Documents DB. But this one has one limitation in addition to the usual constraints that you might have on MongoDB, which is that if you store an object, the keys of that, so the property names, must not contain any dots or dot characters or dollar characters. And yeah, in some cases, also in the new model by Shipyard Controller, it might be that we had those because, for example, it also stores for a sequence execution the certain data that was sent back by the Keptn integration that took over a task, and within the finished event sent by that task, it might be that there was a property of with a dot in the name. And so basically what has been done in this pull request here, we basically introduced a new model package for the sequence execution, the internally used model by the database layer in the Shipyard Controller, and in an essence not
So looks like Klagenfurt is off again.
Not everyone from Klagenfurt, it seems. Weird situation.
Okay, let's wait for a few seconds and then we can switch to. Oh, no, some hackers.
yeah. So no one can hear.
No, we hear you.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
good.
No, it works, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm just gonna go back to the next one.
Could you stop sharing your screen? Thanks. So, okay, for today, just or a rather big topic, more or less, for the bridge. Currently, we are using high charts for the heat map generation. And because this is not maintained anymore, or the free version is not maintained anymore, we decided to make our own heat map with D3. And yeah, let's jump to the process. So this is the one in D3, and it supports all the things that also the old heat map supports. So for example, if there are some data points, some dates that are duplicated, it adds a number to it with the duplicate count, for example. Additionally, is supported with expanding and collapsing. For example, if there are more than 10 SLIs, then a show all SLI button shows up, and yeah, you can expand and collapse this. And next to that, yeah, also support the case if there is a SLI with a length over the specified one, then also this is set to ellipsis style. Next to that, yeah, also the selection. So the primary selection and the secondary selection is also in place. Also, if you click on an empty tile, for example, if there are no results for the SLIs, or just for specific ones, then this is empty, but you can still click and select them. Next to that, the filter that was not working in HighCharts, but is working now. So if you press on the legend below, the tiles are disabled, and also the tooltip is disabled here. Regarding the tooltip, yeah, also the tooltip is supported also for two cases, for the SLIs and for the score, a different one. Next to that, also resize. So for example, if you resize the page, also the heat map is adjusted accordingly. And also if you look at the x-axis, you can see that if a certain point is reached, every second element is shown instead of all. And yeah, also supports zooming in and out. That also the tooltip is adjusted accordingly, and also if you scroll, the tooltip is adjusted.
This is
And
pretty cool. Are you showing the same data on both right now? Because I see some
no,
discrepancies
this
between
is
them.
just custom data
Okay.
I generate. And this is also the reason why there are currently a lot of security hotspot issues with Sonar, because I use a lot of map.random, and yeah, 99% of the things that are shown here are related to this data I'm using here.
Yeah, thanks. Just to understand, do you plan moving out of high charts completely? Or-
Yes, we are using it for a heat map and the line chart at the moment, and we want to completely replace it with D3. Not now. At the moment, we will hide it behind a feature flag, but in future it will completely replace it. Any further questions?
Yeah. And basically, yeah, I'm just looking from the community standpoint. So yeah, so high charts is a huge library. So for us, maybe just having our own heat map implementation is rather reasonable. Mhm.
Yeah.
And the code structure wise, would it be a new package on Keptn Node.js, or do you just
Yeah,
integrate
it
it
is a
into the
new
code base?
dependency D3, but
Mhm.
you are free to do everything you want.
Okay, thanks.
Any further questions? If not, then I will hand over to Andre.
Thanks. I'll share my screen. So you should be receiving. Good. Yeah, so in the last weeks, I concentrated on two things. The first one was introducing a new Keptn webhook config map with a user-defined or user-editable deny list. This is actually binded with the V1 Beta 1 standard we introduced recently in the webhook. The point is that until now with the alpha standard, we actually had some list of hard-coded URLs which couldn't be used as part of the curl commands, but in beta version, this list isn't hard-coded anymore and it's user configurable. It's user configurable via the config map, which can look like this. I will show an example where we have a deny list with a editable with the editable deny list, and the user can define which config maps we want to deny and allow. Yeah, the second issue was actually to configuring the termination grace period, pre-stop hooks, and the upgrade strategy in our Helm charts. This is actually leading to zero downtime. This direction we are heading for a longer time already. So yeah, it's kind of all of the values for the pre-stop hooks, the timeouts, also for the grace period are configurable via Helm charts. We are still kind of testing the default values, but yeah, it's everything should be configurable via Helm charts, and therefore the users should be able to manage it themselves. Yeah, that's everything from my side. Are there any questions? Seems like not, so I will hand over to Anna.
Thanks. Share my screen. So this sprint, I worked on the zero downtime test pipeline and test suite. I will show you a bit of it. So basically, the first part was integrating a new pipeline to running zero downtime test. This is mostly a copy paste and done thanks to Moritz pipeline on integration test. The only big difference that is there is basically the pipeline takes two arguments, one for the installation of the Keptn version and one for deciding which version to upgrade, and plus for what branch you start the pipeline. And what it does, it's just simply run, where is it? It just run go test sum and basically run the zero downtime suite, which is done in the next step. How do the tests look like? Basically, there is a main test suite, which is provided with a template to do parallel testing. At the same time, you will run a Helm upgrade with the past environment variables with the two Keptn environment. And there will be a suite of API calls that ping the Keptn API. And while these two are running, at the same time, a function of your choosing will be run as well. In our case, we have two function implemented. One is for the sequences and one is for the webhook. For the sequences test, we do have a basic evaluation that should pass with 100. Delivery that should fail because no found task sequence, and then evaluation that should fail because of a missing time frame. So this is Lighthouse and Shipyard Controller mostly. And for the webhook, we are recycling the webhook basic test. So we create a webhook project and we run multiple tests with it, where we have one pass with the task and the other 7 to fail. And this, as you can see in both of them, how it is working is basically we are looping until we quit from the rolling upgrade. So the rolling upgrade are finished and we keep on looping on this test. For the API, we are using an API test suite, which is allowing us to nicely format everything. I will show you from here. So basically, this is how the pipeline look like. It's very similar to the integration test. There is the raw format of the test, and then there is a pretty format where you can see all of the steps. Here, for instance, we have both the sequences and the webhook, and we have a summary for each of the tests where we have the count of the failures and successes in sequences and API probes. You can open each of the tests and check whether or not they passed. This is nice for the API test because then you can see some of the data we could later on use, like the duration of the test and what was the get method and what was passed and received. Of course, filtering out information like the token and whatnot. And yeah, you can clearly see if some of the test fails. And for instance, here, one of the webhook calls fails during one of the upgrade, and we will see that, yeah, we have 2 failures. Yeah, so it looks like this. At the end of the pipeline, raw test log is also generated in JSON format and the usual support archive. For now, this is running only on our GKE 121, but it can be extended. Yeah, I think that's it. Maybe I will show you how to run it. What are the parameters you can use? So basically for the workflow, for now, this is not completely merged. So I will have to run from my branch. This is from what branch you start with the first installation of Keptn. And here you can pass what Helm chart you want to use. So this can be either in the Keptn or in the Keptn dev repo. So for instance, this is referring to an order PR, and yeah, that's it. There are any questions? If not, I will stop sharing.
Thanks for the demo. So who's next? Did we have all the presentation by now? Because yeah, and actually we have all topics covered. So anything else we would like to discuss today?
I want just to announce that by beginning of next week, we will do the release of Keptn 16. So stay tuned for the next big version of Keptn.
You meant 15, right?
15, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm a bit ahead of time.
So it means that we already have a plan for 16.
Yes.
Okay. Yep. So yeah, thanks everyone. And yeah, just to follow up on what we had discussed in the recent weeks. Yeah, on my side, I was going through backlog, etc., for integrations, ideas we had on the backlog tickets. And actually, I want to do the same for Web UI. So thanks a lot for presentation, for heat maps today, Klaus. And yeah, I think that in the next few weeks, it would be great if we could also try to build some roadmap for key stories for UI UX. And if you have anything on your mind, that would be great. That would fit backlog, etc. Just put it somewhere on GitHub issues so that we can start making this effort more visible. Okay. Then thanks everyone. So I will follow up on the tasks, and yeah, hope to see some of you next week if everything goes according to the plan. Okay. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You, bye-bye.
Thank